Hello.
Hello. Hello.
So we just finished summer last week. It's one of my favorite seasons because some foods just seem to taste better during the summer. Apricots, plums, strawberries, grilled asparagus. They have that great taste to them during the summer. Who do we have to thank for that? Is it the farmer? Is it the store? There's one person we're neglecting. And when you see him, your fight or flight response kicks in and you run away waving your arms, or you grab a shoe and you try and kill him. That's the honeybee. The honeybee is actually a remarkable creature that affects each of us personally. About 5 or 6 years ago, I went to a museum in Kansas and I came across an indoor beehive. And it was pretty remarkable to watch them fly in and fly out and get to work in that beehive. On the table there was a book about bees that I sat down and decided to read, and that changed the way that I looked at bees forever. So why are bees important to the environment and to us personally? Well, it comes down to the ecosystem. What's an ecosystem? The Polish Journal of Environmental Studies says that ecosystems support life and maintain the equilibrium of biodiversity and are essential for human survival and development. So it's living and non-living organisms working together to maintain that system. One tree in the system that benefits from the bee is the poplar tree. Why do we care about the poplar tree? The poplar tree affects all of us because it's in all of our homes. It's in this home, it's in your home, it's furniture, it's chairs, tables, couches, it's plywood, it's cabinets, your roof, all come from the poplar tree, which is one of the least expensive hardwoods here in the US. Now, other plants that benefit from the bee and the pollination are wild plants with large leaves that soak up the CO2, the carbon dioxide, in the atmosphere. This helps to offset human emissions in a process that's known as carbon sequestration. It soaks up that CO2 and allows the roots to branch out and grow big and strong, and it binds together and holds the soil nice and tight. What that does is that slows the seepage of water, prevents flooding and erosion, keeping the nutrients in the soil. Farmers see the bees as heroes. Every hero has a villain. Some honeybees are susceptible to attack from time to time from other bees, like hornets. Now, when a hornet finds a colony, he wants to go in there and leave a marker or a pheromone, which will attract all of his other friends so they can divide and conquer. The honeybees don't want that. So what do? They allow the hornet to come in. They sit back and they watch him, they let him investigate, see where he can leave his marker. But then they start to shake their abdomen. Hundreds of them, just shaking. That's a war cry. That's a message that's being passed around through the entire colony. And now all at once, they swarm this hornet. Now these honeybees are only about 1/3 the size of that hornet. And they swarm him, hundreds of bees attacking this one hornet, but they're not stinging him. Instead, they start to vibrate. The temperature goes up really hot. The honeybee can live up to temperatures of 118 degrees. They raise the temperature to 117 degrees, 1 degree below fatal for the colony. The hornet can only live to 115 degrees. It's pretty remarkable that they get rid of this one would-be attacker without damaging the rest of the colony. There's another form of defense that the honeybees use called the shimmer. What the shimmer is some honeybees, the giant honeybees, have their hives on the outside. It's not in a hollow tree. It's not in some hidden part of the forest. It's right on the outside, usually hanging, and they line that hive. What they do is they flip their bellies really quick. Less than a second, they just flip their bellies, and it makes it look like they're doing a wave, kind of like in a baseball game. And what that does is that disorients attackers, such as the hornet, and thinking that's not a food source, or that they're about to be attacked. The colony is safe, and the location of the hive remains a secret. How is the colony maintained? Well, like you and me, honeybees need food and they need medicine. Food is not available all year round. So when a honeybee finds a food source, he does this really incredible thing called a dance. It's a waggle. And what it basically is when he finds it, he goes back to the hive and he's shaking his body everywhere he can, left and right, circles, figure eights. And those are all directions to where the food source is, according to the sun. So the bees have to pay attention to that little dance to find out where they're going. En route to that food source, when the bee flies, he's covered in hairs, little tiny hairs that develop a static charge. So when he lands in that flower, pollen just sticks to him. He doesn't even have to work. Pollen just clings right to him. Now he has a straw in his mouth that will suck up the nectar from a plant or from a flower. And what that does is it puts the nectar into their belly, but they're not eating it. They bring it back to the hive where they regurgitate it, kind of like how you're doing right now, regurgitating. And another bee will suck it up and put it into his belly. Now their bellies have enzymes that mix with the nectar and kind of enrich it. And then they regurgitate it again into a cell. When all the cells are full, they will start to flap their wings. 12,000 times a minute, they're flapping their wings. This increases the temperature, dehydrates the nectar into a syrup consistency. When that's done, they put wax over it, and it stays there until they need it. They're not always searching for food, though. Sometimes they go to plants, and some plants or flower leaves have a sticky resin on them. The bees will scrape this resin off and bring it back to the hive and actually inject it into the structure of the hive itself. This is called propolis. It's pretty useful. According to the Department of Dietetics and Food Assessment in Poland, propolis has a host of medicinal properties. It's antimicrobial, antioxidant, antifungal, dermoprotective, laxative, anti-diabetic, anti-inflammatory, anti-allergic. And humans have been harvesting this propolis from nests for thousands of years. They've been using it for cuts, minor cuts, they've been using it for sores, and just now scientists are starting to investigate the effect it has on cancer cells. We've only scratched the surface of the honeybee and the remarkable role they play in making the world go round. They help balance the ecosystem by pollination. They help with carbon sequestration and erosion prevention. They have incredible defense mechanisms that preserve their colony and keep them alive. Lastly, they're very effective at locating food, enriching it, storing it, and keeping the hive free from germs and molds. These are some incredible little creatures. Thanks to them, I have a couch to sit on. I have strawberries to eat. I have a bed to sleep on, a roof over my head, clean air to breathe, and medicine for my cuts.
Yay!